A good Nerv Shabbos Parshas Bay. First of all, tremendous Yasher Koach, tremendous thank you to Reb Simcha and Devorah Cohn for sponsoring this week's Shalosh Shudas virtually in honor of the boys who completed Maseches Tamid, Mishnayos. So keep it going, guys. Keep learning Torah. Keep our shul going. Keep Klal Yisrael going. May HaKadosh Baruch Hu send both Reb Simcha and his Rebbetzin and all the boys tremendous success and constantly coming closer to him, to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, through his beloved Torah. So Reb David HaNagid was the grandson of the Rambam. He has a pirush on Pirkei Avos called Mikdash David. And in Perek Vav, Reb David HaNagid brings a story about the great Reb Yossi ben Kisma. Here's what happened. Two of Reb Yossi ben Kisma's children from Yerushalayim were captured by an officer of Edom. Reb Yossi ben Kisma went to where they were being held. And he says to the officer of Edom, take 100 money as a ransom and please give me back my children. Let's say a money is $1,000. Okay, so in our terms, he tells him, take $100,000 as a ransom and please give me back my kids. The officer says no. Reb Yossi ben Kisma starts fasting and davening to Hashem, please help me get my children back. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu sends the Malach Michael, the angel Michael, comes to this officer and he gives him a tremendously painful stomach illness, unbearable pain. And this officer's family tells him, maybe it's because of what you did to that Jew. You know, he was just here, he asked for his kids back, you told him nothing doing. So the officer sends a message to Reb Yossi ben Kisma to come back. Reb Yossi comes back, and as soon as he walks into the room, the pain stops. Officer realizes there's something to this. So he says to Reb Yossi ben Kisma, okay, give me $100,000 and you can have your kids. Reb Yossi ben Kisma says, listen, you know, I've been hanging around here for the past couple of days. I needed to spend money on food and clothing, trying to hire attorneys. I already spent $20,000. I only have $80,000 left. The officer gets very angry and he kicks him out. Reb Yossi leaves. As soon as he walks out of the room, the officer's stomach is in intense pain. He calls him back in. He says, okay, give me $80,000. You can have your kids. Reb Yossi says, I apologize. You know, I just had to pay for the hotel. I only have $50,000 left. Only have 50 money left. The officer is furious. You're making a joke of me. Kicks him out. The pain comes back. It's worse and worse. He can't live. In the end, he calls back Reb Yossi ben Kisma. He says, what do you want? Reb Yossi ben Kisma says, my children. The officer says, take them. Reb Yossi says, you've already had them for a week. I want you to pay them for all the forced labor while you held them in captivity. They made a calculation, and Reb Yossi ben Kisma walked away with his children and an additional 80 money, an additional $80,000. That's the story that Reb David HaNagid brings. This is the same story of Mitzrayim. This week's Parsha, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, Eis Hasher halalti b'Mitzrayim. I made a mockery out of Paro. I made a mockery out of Mitzrayim. Rashi explains that I made a laughter out of Mitzrayim. Let's put this into perspective. Why is this funny? Why is this comical? Because Hashem demanded that Paro allow us to leave Mitzrayim. Hashem says, Paro, let my kids go. Paro refuses. And he thinks that by keeping the Bnei Yisrael, he'll gain. We're going to build Mitzrayim, we're going to work their fields, we'll be his servants forever, we're going to make him a lot of money. And what happens due to his stubbornness? All the land that we worked, everything that we've built gets destroyed. The land turns to lice, the Nile River, everything gets totally ruined. Paro ends up chasing us out. His whole land is destroyed. He gives us all the wealth of the land. Everything he thought that he would gain by keeping us, he lost. He gets plague after plague. He gets makkah after makkah. A large portion of the Mitzrayim are dead. Why? Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu told him to do something and he didn't do it. This applies to Rishon for sure. Evil, wicked things don't last. Sheker doesn't have 2 feet. It doesn't last. But this is something that we can take into our lives as well. Personally, if HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells us that something is right, something is proper, sometimes we feel we can play around a little bit. Maybe I'll gain by doing this. not being so moral, not being so ethical, not being so honest. When we do the Ratzon Hashem, when we follow the Ratzon Hashem, that is when we gain. When we do Hashem's will, that is when we gain. When we do things that are not Hashem's will, we think we're gaining. Our Yetzer Hara is convincing us that we're gaining. But in the end, it doesn't last. It doesn't stay. Because it's not really connected to the Rebbeinu Shalom. Have a wonderful, wonderful Shabbos.